Alright, welcome to another tutorial. This one's at the Harlequins. Here's a final look of the Troupe Master, and looking at all the different Harlequins in the Troupe that I painted up using sort of my Dark Eldar colors. So, started out with a black base coat, assembled everything, and yeah, pretty standard black base coat. And then what I'm doing is I'm doing a Dark Reaper, sort of a quick dry brush. I end up kind of redoing some of this later. But the idea is to bring out some of the black highlights for things that, like their tights or whatever, so that I'm not going to have to do those later. Next thing up, Screamer Pink for all of the hair. So I'm just trying to pick out the base colors here first, and just doing those on nice and even coats here. Doesn't really matter what order you do them in. I figured I'd do this one first because of those streamers and stuff. They're kind of tricky to get at. Doing the silver next, so Leadbelcher for the base coat of that. And so I got some power swords and a couple of knickknacks here there on the guys and some of their backpacks. Balthasar Gold for the gold highlights, so shuriken pistols, the flip belts, some of the stuff on the mohawks, that sort of thing. So just details here and there. Just trying to get a base coat of that on. Okay, so yeah, around the edge of the masks as well. So because I'm doing this first, I can be a bit messy with it. And that's just going to be that kind of line around the edge of the mask. Okay, Celestra Grey, or Celestra Grey, or whatever it's called, for the masks. So painting inside that line there, getting inside the eyeballs, and all that sort of thing. So as each of the base coats go on, you have to be a little bit more careful of where the colors overlap. You got to stay inside the lines. But the first colors, you get a little bit more leeway with that. Alright, next up, Incubi Darkness. So all the colors that I'm going to do with the Harlequin pattern, I'm going to use the base color for this. So I'm just laying that down on first. And this just helps me figure out which parts of the Harlequins are going to be the diamond patterns. And then just giving this a quick highlight of Kabalite Green. And yeah, you can see that there, and that'll just help give me a base for the diamonds. So the diamonds are going to be basically the same as any sort of checker pattern. And if you've never done that before, well, this will be a little bit trickier. So I'm using a fine brush with thin down paint just to try to paint on the lines here. So just sketching them out as best as I can, trying to keep them as clean as I can so I don't have to touch them up too much later. But just going down the major parts of the area that you're going to see. So the front of the legs in this case, the backs of the legs you can kind of just fudge it because you're not really going to see that unless you pick the model up and turn it upside down. So focusing on the parts that you can see and trying to get that as neat as possible with the first pass. Obviously not perfect the first pass here, but just trying to do the best I can. And I can go back and touch that up with the greens, and you'll see the different colors I'm using on these later. Okay, so I do that on all of my Harlequins, and then I'm switching over to Stegadon Green. So I'm going to be just alternating sort of this turquoise and blue-green for the insides of my diamonds here. And these are the basic colors of my Dark Eldar army, so that's the idea there, is to tie them together with these colors. So when I'm painting this in the centers here, I can touch up some of the gray there and get over some of the extra lines I did. But just trying to keep that neat. It doesn't really matter if I get 100% coverage in there. You're not really going to tell. It's not that stark of a difference between that and the greens. Okay, Sotek Green, go and highlight on this. And so each successive layer is going to be a little bit less paint on it and a little bit faster, doing a little less touching up and sort of leaning towards the top edges of these diamonds. Okay, and then a final highlight in there of Temple Guard Blue. And I think I might have to trim some of this. So forgive me if I go off camera. So I'm just trying to paint the top edges of those diamonds. A little bit of a highlight there to give you a bit of an impression. Up close they don't look the greatest, but a little bit further away they work out quite nicely. Just kind of sketching it in there and letting your eye kind of make up the difference of the colors. Sybarite Green for the final highlight of the first colors. So just trying to get the top edges of that. A little bit too thin of paint there. But again, just trying to give an impression of the colors there, and it really, works out nicely when you look at it a slight bit of a distance. You don't need to look at these up too close. Okay, and then finally with some white scar, just going to try to touch up the gray lines there and just bring them out a touch. And I don't know if this is the one I go off camera. So you can see it really makes it pop a little bit more, and just trying to get this on the main areas. Not too worried about getting 100% coverage, but it's just trying to add a little bit of depth to the coloring here. And that's it. Just it's an important part of the model, but it doesn't have to take forever. I wanted to do that early on just so that I could have that out of the way, and then I could work through the rest of the colors. So Carroburg Crimson on all of those streamers and hair. And like I said, that's to tie this in with my Dark Eldar. They have the standard sort of reddish pink hair, and some of the pink highlights here and there. Agrax Earthshade for the gold bits. And then a bit of null oil for the silver. So again, if you wanted to do this beforehand, that probably would have been a good idea before you did all the other, but I really wanted to get those diamonds done quickly, or done early on, so that I could get it out of the way. And I'm just putting this Nuln Oil over top of everything, so all the Dark Reaper stuff that I had highlighted before, it's going to get toned down quite a bit, and this will really tone down the model and help bring out some of the other colors later, I think. Blue glaze on the masks, so it's sort of like a shade, but a lot more subtle, and just making sure that it goes nicely in all the cracks. And then just going back with the gray and trying to bring up the flat surfaces a bit more, make them a little less blue, more whitish. Alright, highlight again as gold over all the gold bits, and I find that painting this on nice and thick, not thick per se, but nice even coat, makes it really shiny, and so that's pretty important. Runefane Steel on all the silver bits, and just focusing on the edges of things mostly. And yeah, so the Harlequins kisses, I tried to get a bit of extra detail on there. It's a lot of silver material all in one place, and just want to make sure that it's going to look decent, because those will be a focal point of the model. Okay, going back with Dark Reaper on the black stuff, and just try to pick out some of the highlights there. Not worried too much about spending a lot of time on that, because I have given it a bit of a highlight and then shade before, just trying to get final highlights. Some Fenrisian Grey just for some sharp edges on any of the black bits there, just to help bring those out. And you know what, I think I might have mixed some of these order up here. So Temple Guard Blue, so you can see I did some blue and green on the rest of the model, and using the same highlights as I did for the diamonds. And the idea is I just found the model was a bit too dark after I had finished off those bits. Highlight with Sybarite Green on that. So the same colors as the diamond pattern, but just a bit more detail on the model, and to make them a bit more colorful. I felt that the guys were just a bit too black once I had gone back. So again, same color scheme as all the rest of my Dark Eldar, but try to keep things bright and in theme with the Harlequins. So go using Emperor's Children pink here to highlight up these streamers and any edge highlighting on those, and then a glaze of Bloodletter on that, just to make it a bit more of a red than a pink. And that's that done. And then the last thing is just to be a final highlight on the faces, and we're all good to go. So a little bit of white scar here on the faces. Now I did the flip belt gemstone there as well. I didn't bother showing that. A couple other small details here and there, and that's the final model. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Be sure to check back for more, and make sure you check out my blog for lots of pictures and stuff like that. See you next time.